If you are interested in studying BBE, then you should definitely watch this video. Hey and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Daytona. I'm 20 years old and I'm studying BBE, so the Business and Economics Bachelor at WU in Vienna, in already my 4th semester. And this video will be all around that, in particular about the BBE entrance exam, because if you already applied to BBE, you will probably know that there is an entrance exam that everyone has to take, and that's basically the main part of the selection procedure. I know the exam, at least for 2023, is pretty soon, so I'm sorry that this is so last minute, but if you're like me, you're in general a procrastinator, you're gonna study last minute, so you'll be fine, don't worry. I'm gonna just give you a broad overview over the exam. I will tell you how I prepared and also give you some tips and tricks, not just from me, but also from my friends and other students that I collected through a little survey on Instagram. So yeah, I think this video will be hopefully very helpful. I'm also, as you can see, talking in English. Usually my other videos are in German, but as BBE is a very international program and I also get questions in English sometimes on my Instagram, I thought it would be the most helpful if I would do this video in English. So first about the BBE entrance exam 2023. It takes place on June 27th from 10 to 12:30, so you will have 2.5 hours time. Taking place on a separate platform that WU provides called WiseFlow. You should definitely register there before. Ideally, you already took one of the 2 mock exams, or maybe even both, just to get familiar with the platform and the structure of the exam. But if not, don't worry. I actually didn't do the mock exams either, none of them, because I completely forgot. I felt so stupid and I was like, shit, now I completely ruined my opportunity, but you'll be fine. I would recommend to take the mock exams, but if you didn't, don't worry. Also, you shouldn't log in 1 minute before the exam, but rather 30 minutes before, because you also have to do some stuff like take a photo of yourself with your ID and say your name out loud, just for the supervision and stuff to work well. Now let's come to the fun part. So the exam consists of 3 different areas: a math part, an English language part, and a business part. And each part consists of 10 to 13 questions. They're all multiple choice, so you don't have to write any text and stuff, which is pretty much the same as it will be later in the BBE Bachelor itself. Most of my exams, especially in the beginning, have been all multiple choice. So yeah, it's not that hard, but you should still think about the questions. So let's talk about the individual part. Let's start with the English language skills part. By the way, I took some notes here on my phone just to, have this video a bit more structured, so if I'm looking down sometimes you know what I'm looking at. So what the English part is testing is your correct use of the English grammar, your understanding of English vocabulary, and also understanding the content of written text, so basically reading comprehension. I don't remember exactly what kind of questions were on the exam since it was 2 years ago, but from what I remember there were like 2 different kinds of questions they asked. So for the reading comprehension, obviously there was a text that you had to read and then you had to answer some questions about the text, multiple choice obviously. And for the grammar and vocabulary, as far as I know, you had sentences and you had to select a word that fits in the sentence. So they wanted to test either your vocabulary, so you know which word fits in the context, or they had the same word but different versions of that word to test your grammar. You know what I mean? If I remember correctly, they also asked sometimes for synonyms to test your vocabulary. So what's another word to express this word? And you just had to select the right one. I wouldn't stress too much about it if you had English in high school, especially in your final exams. I didn't know all the words, I kind of guessed my way through it, I think, so no worries. I'm gonna say something about that later again, but actually in 2021, when I did the BBE entrance exam, there was a technical difficulty, so where the reading comprehension, there was no reading, the text was missing. And I was literally for 10 minutes staring at my screen trying to search for the text. I was just seeing the questions, I'm where in the world is the text? So I'm gonna say something about that later, but if something like that should happen to you, don't worry, don't panic, just skip to the next question. Then the second part, the independent literature study, so the elementary economics and business knowledge. I personally did not have any prior business knowledge because I went to a normal, like general high school in Germany. I did the Allgemeine Abitur. So I didn't have any business knowledge, and they provide you with this book that you have to read. I think it's just the first 6 chapters. Yeah, exactly. Basically, you just have to read through it. You have to kind of understand the content, obviously, but I wouldn't say you have to know everything by heart, just the most important principles. Personally, I summarized the book, and I will definitely provide you my notes in the description below. If that might help you, you can also just read through that and study that. So that's basically what I did. I just read through the entire book. I took notes meanwhile, what I thought would be the most important principles to remember, kind of by heart, yes. But all the questions are gonna be like knowledge questions and definitions, etc. So as far as I remember, there's no transfer questions, so you don't have to actually apply the stuff that you learned, but just recall it. It's definitely important to read the book and to familiarize yourself with the concepts, especially if you've never been like confronted with business stuff before, such as me. But really, it's not that big of a deal. Just read the book and you'll be fine. And the third part is the math part. A lot of people are scared of that because also at the VU page, it lists like all the stuff that you should know. So elementary algebra and financial mathematics, linear equations into unknowns, power functions, polynomial functions, blah, blah, blah. You can find, by the way, all the information that I'm reading to you on the BBE application website. I can also put the link down below again. So what I'm telling you until now, you can find it all there. The useful tips obviously are not there, but yeah. I would say personally, and that's also what everyone else told me, if you study in Austria or Germany and had math in your Abitur or Matura, you will be fine. You really don't need to study anything extra, in my opinion. I honestly didn't study anything in math, because a few weeks before the BBE entrance exam, I just wrote my Abitur, so like a written exam in math. And you know, if I can do that, I thought I should also be able to do the BBE exam. And it was fine. It was kind of hard, and also, actually, let me pull up the survey results. I asked in my Instagram story, was the math part comparable to Matura, Abitur, or other high school degree? And 37% said yes, it is comparable, 48% said it was harder, and 15% said it was easier. So around 50% of people found it was a bit harder. I also kind of struggled with it. I really thought I did terrible on the math part, but in the end, I know that I guess I didn't do too bad since I got into BBE. By the way, I was on place like 150 or something. So how it works is, you know, around like 2,000 people apply every year, and everyone takes the entrance exam, and just 240 people get in, which I know is not too much. The acceptance rate is around like 10%. And it just basically ranks the people according to the score on the entrance exam. So the best 240 people get in, and I was on place something with 150, I believe. So yeah, that's just in general about the content of the exam. But let me tell you really quick about how I personally prepared again and the exam day itself. So I am from Germany, so I did German high school degree Abitur, actually right before the BBE entrance exam, and I did it in math and English and biology. So I was pretty confident in my English and math skills. I also took the SAT before, which is like a test for American colleges, where I also had a big English part in reading comprehension, grammar, vocabulary. So I already knew that my knowledge and my skills there were pretty fond. So personally, I literally just focused on the business part. I just read the book, wrote some notes on the book and studied those to memorize the concepts. But besides of that, I didn't do anything else, and I was fine. Okay, so my camera just died, which sucks because I don't have a lot of phone storage. What I wanted to say, how you should prepare for the exam. It really depends on where you're coming from, not just country-wise, but like also your knowledge and what you did in high school. So personally, I had math and English in high school, plus I did already like 2 different English tests in the past, so the TOEFL and the SAT. So I knew that my skills were pretty fond there. So I just focused on the business part. I just read the book. But you have to really assess and like evaluate on your own how your skills are in those areas. If, for example, you already studied business in high school and you're pretty confident in that, maybe skip through the book, but don't really focus too much on that. But maybe if you didn't have math or if you didn't have English, maybe really focus on those. For the math part, I would definitely recommend to look at the Austrian Matura, so the math part in the Austrian high school exam, because even WU itself, they write on the website that the math part is very similar to the Matura. So if you already had the math and Matura, then don't worry, you'll be fine. But if you didn't, then maybe you get yourself familiar with that. There's tons of exercises and examples online. Also, WU provides even an English version on their website, so definitely check that out. Personally, what I can totally recommend from prior experience to study for the math and English part is Khan Academy. I personally used it to prepare for the SAT, but I think it's a great way to study for the BBE exam as well, because personally for me the hardest part was to do math, for example, in English. And if you've never done that before, to do math in a different language than your own, then maybe check that out. I personally found their courses very helpful. They have like several courses with exercises on literally every topic. So that's just a personal recommendation. But I know that other people just studied with the materials provided by WU. So, you know, just in general, don't worry, don't stress too much. I know it's super competitive and not everyone will get in, but stressing doesn't really help you with getting in, you know what I mean? If you stress too much, you'll just have a blackout during the exam and you'll just, you know what I mean? To tell you some other survey results, actually, I asked my friends and other people how stressful they found the exam, because many of you asked me how it is time-wise, if it's stressful, and 53% actually said that it's very stressful, 29% said it's a bit stressful, and 18% actually found it not stressful at all, and they found that the time was sufficient. From my personal experience, I also found it very stressful, not too much, but kind of. I mean, you have 2.5 hours, it's not little, but just, I guess, the pressure of like, oh, this is the entrance exam, I need to get in. I guess that's especially stressful. And I was kind of stressed with the math part, to be honest. Yeah, if you manage your time in a good way, then you should be fine. I mean, we all got through it. I'm not even sure if I was able to finish the exam, honestly. I think I left like 1 or 2 questions open, but I'm not sure. Just a little disclaimer, I still remember like, oh my god, my exam day. I still remember I was so nervous. I did the exam, and after that, I remember I did like a voice text to my ex-boyfriend, like, okay, I'm not gonna get in. I totally fucked up this exam. And I was like, that's unfortunate. You know, this was my dream school, but it's okay. I'll look at other schools. Like, I literally was so sure that I did so bad, that I did so horrible. And I was 1000% in. I wouldn't get in. I already forgot about WU and BBE. I already forgot about the school, because literally I thought I did so bad at the exam, and I heard that from so many other people. So many people have this experience that they really thought they did bad and in the end they got in. So don't stress. I know the exam is tough. I know there's super much pressure, but even after the exam, don't stress about it. Either you get in and you did amazing, or you did not get in. There's still alternatives. I will talk about that in a second. Alright, and we're back to camera again. I was somehow able to charge my battery a bit. I mean, I'm sorry guys, this video is so messy. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, let's talk about alternatives. So worst case scenario, you didn't get into BBE. You actually ask if Viso is a good alternative and how many people actually apply to other programs. So 65% of people who did the BBE entrance exam already applied to another program such as Viso, which is the German bachelor at WU, and 35% did not. I personally did not apply to any other degrees yet, because in Germany the application deadlines are much later than in Austria. So even if I didn't get into BBE, I still would have like a few weeks to apply for German colleges. And personally for me, the German bachelor visa was just not an option, because I didn't want to study in German and it just didn't sound so interesting to me. I do know many people who applied to Viso just because they wanted to WU, because WU is really such a great university. Plus I know people who already studied Viso for 1 year and then actually got into BBE and just quit Viso and then started doing BBE instead, which is also an option, because I believe you can also transfer some courses from Viso to BBE then, at least as free electives. Is Viso a good alternative? I would say yes and no. If you care about just studying in Vienna, studying at WU, then Wieso is for sure a good alternative, especially if you know German, and especially because they're actually making a new Wieso right now. I don't know when exactly it starts or if it has already started, but I heard that they restructured the entire program and that it will be more similar to BBE now. So now I think it's definitely a good alternative, but BBE, in my experience and what I heard from others, is definitely, at least from what I heard until now, like I said, they're gonna make some changes, but until now, BBE, in my opinion, is better than Wieso, just because of first the people and the community. BBE is much smaller than Wieso with 240 people instead of over 1,000. That means, one, you have really a community feeling. I feel like I know almost everyone, or at least I know really many people from BBE, and every time we have classes together, you always see the same people, you see familiar faces, and it really feels like a little family. You know what I mean? It's really, the BBE community is so great. And in Wieso, I heard a lot of times that it's really hard to get to know people and the class sizes are just too huge. Plus, BBE is just structured so much better. Like, it's very similar to American colleges, I believe. It's structured better in the way that we all do the same courses until we choose our specializations, and it's super easy. They tell us which courses to select, we select those courses. You're immediately already, if you go for a course, you're also already registered for the exam, and it's super easy. Plus, in the courses, the exam is not your entire grade. The exam usually accounts for like 50% of your grade, and the other 50% consists of homeworks, group projects. So it's really cool. And in Wieso, it's the complete opposite. Nobody really, like, everyone registers for different courses. You also don't even have to attend the courses, so there's no mandatory attendance. You also just have one final exam with really high failing rates, especially in the STEOP, so in the first phase. It's just everything, I feel like, a bit more messy. So in my opinion, BBE is definitely better, but Wieso is still a good alternative, especially with the structural changes they're making. Plus, if you don't get into BBE, you can start Wieso now and just try again BBE next year. I know many people who did the BBE exam twice and they didn't get in the first time, but they got in the second time. So, you know, you're gonna be fine, even if you don't get in the first time. Alright, let's talk about some last minute tips, since this video is also coming kind of last minute. I'm so sorry about that, by the way. So the tips that some of my friends gave me are: first, if you struggle a bit with anxiety, then take rescue drops. I also have them. I actually use them for my Abitur and maybe even for the BBE entrance exam. Those are just like little drops. Come on, yes. Those are like little drops you can get basically everywhere, I believe, but especially like in the pharmacy. Something natural that makes you calm, let's say like that. So that's definitely something to calm you down. Then one girl highlighted that you should definitely answer every question. Even if you don't know the question, just guess it, maybe go back to it at the end. But if you don't know it, just guess something, because it's multiple choice, and don't leave anything blank. You still have a better chance by guessing, especially since wrong answers are not deducted. Also, if you're not from DACH, so if you're not from Germany, Switzerland, or Austria, maybe look at the German notations for functions and stuff, because they might be different here than maybe in your country. Personally, I was also so confused with the comma and the dot, because in Germany we write a comma, so like 1,5, but in Austria, or at least in English, you write 1.5. So that's also one thing that you should pay attention to. Also, you should focus on what's really asked in the question. So read the question right and then answer it. Don't just, you know, read the beginning and be like, oh, I know what they're asking. Really read the question. And one guy also said, don't panic when there's technical difficulties, and I can just highlight that because, as I mentioned quickly before, actually during our exam there was a big technical difficulty that we just couldn't see the text for the reading comprehension. I was super confused. I kind of panicked. In the end, I just skipped it. I was like, yeah, what can I do? I just have to move on with the exam. Don't stress, don't panic, because first, it's not your fault. Second, they're gonna fix it somehow. And third, if they don't fix it, they compensate it differently. For example, in our case, the reading comprehension part just didn't count. They just completely left it out of the evaluation. It just didn't get graded. I had some other online exams during the BBE program where we had technical difficulties, and they're always super nice about it. Like, for example, in my last exam, the exam started like 3 minutes later than it was supposed to, and we all just got like 5 extra points because we missed like 3 minutes. You know what I mean? They're not gonna punish you if you have technical difficulties. Like, obviously you should make sure that your computer and everything works. And if you mess up on your end, like if you, for example, just leave the room and the camera can't get your face anymore, that's obviously a problem. But if something is wrong with the platform, do not stress. It's not in your control. Just move on with the exam if you can, and they're gonna fix it somehow or compensate for that. So really, don't stress. You're gonna be fine. So yeah, that I think was everything. I really hope I could answer all of your questions on the exam material, on how to prepare, etc. Oh, by the way, I also asked around like when people started preparing, and it really ranged from like, oh, since the beginning of the year to like 2 days before. Personally, I started like 1 week before, I think, with reading the book, and then like the days before I really tried to intensively study my notes, like the summary that I made of the book. I also know people who studied for months and weeks. There's even like a BBE entrance exam course, but I believe that, you know, if you already had like English, math, or even business in high school, I believe you should be fine. Go maybe over the stuff again, go over the math, Matura, which VU provides, and which there are so many sources online. Read the business book and you're gonna be fine. Do not stress. Really try to relax and calm down during the exam, before the exam. Do a meditation before. That's like my personal favorite before every single exam I do. And just try to be confident, you know, believe in yourself. And I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure many of you are gonna get in. If you don't get in, don't be sad. You can try again next year because BBE really is a great program. I would recommend it to everyone. And yeah, I really hope I answered all of your questions. If not, just answer them in the comments or shoot me an Instagram DM. I usually reply there if I can. And yeah, I wish you all so much luck. You're gonna rock this, and hope to see you soon on my channel. I post a lot of vlogs from BBE and my daily life, so hope to see you there, and I hope you have a good day.